Hello and welcome to episode 24 of Smooth Traffic, the smoothest automotive podcast out there. Once again, you'll have noticed that I am not Johnny Edge. It is again Rob King. Johnny has had some issues with his general internet connectivity, if you've been following our Twitter account. But we're pleased to say that he's back now. So joining me today is obviously Ben Pierce.
Hello.
And Johnny Edge. Oh, that doesn't sound good at all, does it?
He's somewhere.
Well, hopefully he'll join us shortly, because he's got to talk about a couple of Audis. He's been driving the brand new Audi Q2, and he's also got an Audi A4 on a longer term deal at the moment. Also this episode, we're going to talk about a winter road trip for Smooth Traffic, which is hopefully coming up in January. We've got another chat about some autonomous vehicles and where we see things going in the future. And also there's a big announcement about the Smooth Traffic project.
So chaps, right now you're looking at the Audi Q2, aren't you? You've got the Audi Q2 on your screens, on your computer, my bobs. Bless you.
Sorry.
So King's allergic to it. Ben, you've got the Audi...
That was Ben!
Was that you, Ben?
It was.
Christ, so Ben's allergic to the Audi Q2. King, you're reacting normally to it, from what I can tell. So I don't have to give you any medicine. You're looking at the pricing at the moment, aren't you? I believe it starts from just under £20,000.
Apparently, yeah, 19.5.
Yeah, it's 19.5, something like that. No Audi Q2 ever made is going to be sold for 19,000 odd. None. It's impossible. You can't buy an Audi Q2 for that price because everything on an Audi is expensive. So when we were at the press conference for the Q2 at the Q2 launch in Suffolk, they told us that they expected only 10% of all Audi Q2s ever sold to be the entry-level SE model, which is the one that will be that sort of price. And even if people do buy that price entry-level model, they're also going to put optional extras on it. So I'm going to stick my neck out and say nobody in the entire world can show me an Audi Q2 invoice for the actual starting price that Audi's been advertising it at. Nobody in the world. If you have bought an Audi Q2 or you know someone who's bought an Audi Q2 as basic as possible and it is the price that Audi is advertising, then post it on Twitter and I will give you a solid box of Ben & Jerry's. Yep. Not melted. A solid box of Ben & Jerry's. I will hand deliver it.
So what do you reckon it'll cost for a decent model then? One that you'd actually want to go away with?
I think you'll be looking at spending between 25 and 30.
Okay.
The model that we tested, the petrol S-Line model that we tested on the launch, was £34,005. £34,005. So Audi are making this really big thing about the car costing under £20,000 basically, and how it's meant to appeal to younger people, because we did cover this in an earlier episode, I believe, about how the Q2 was going to appeal to younger people, and I laughed at the time because younger people can't afford to buy new SUVs, no jobs, poor prospects, that kind of thing. And yes, you can actually make an Audi Q2 roughly about £36,000 if you try really, really hard. It's pathetic. There's no way on earth that car should cost that much money. It's a nice car, don't get me wrong. I actually quite like it. It's a very, very well-made car. Handles great, but it's not particularly comfortable. The engines aren't all that inspiring. And the S-Tronic automatic gearbox has still got these little problems that are it's just not quite there. Not quite there, especially when you're just trying to move off. I can't fathom why you'd want to buy one over something much more sensible and better to drive like a Nissan Qashqai, aside from the fact you're a complete badge snob and you literally have no other sense in your body, in your brain. I can't envision the scenario where you'd need to buy one unless you just wanted to show off. Even if you wanted an Audi, go and buy an A3. Or even better, buy the Q3 SUV, which is only slightly bigger than the Q2. The Q2 is kind of a pointless car for me. I don't really get it. Audi's trying to advertise that it's under 20 grand and that's great for that price, but they've said themselves nobody's going to buy it for that price. So I'm at a bit of a loss with this one. I think it's just a stupid car basically. I don't dislike it. I just think it's a stupid car. So I think I gave it 3 out of 5, and that's because it's a very, very well made product. It's got solid engines, but none of them particularly inspiring. The gearbox isn't perfect. The extras just add up ridiculously. It looks cool. It's just a nice car, but there's no way on earth you should be paying £30,000 for one. It's nowhere near that much money.
I mean, I can't disagree with you, John, obviously. I'm actually just going through the Audi Q2 configurator on their website right now.
Yep.
Strangely enough, when you first go onto the configurator, you're presented with an Audi Suggests box. And basically it recommends 3 default configurations that it's kind of come up with for sporty, techno and something else. But I breezed past that to start from the trim, and I've gone in with the SE trim, and the basic price is apparently 21,695. So well played for calling that nobody will get one for under 20.
Not possible. Unless a dealer is your friend and you have bribed the dealer with free dog food for his dog, or perhaps some flowers and chocolates.
The funny thing was that when you go through this configurator, so it sets the base price, and then there's also optional equipment of 770 quid already on there. Because it's selected the most expensive paint colour. So I've taken that off. So the best I can do is 21,695, which on the road is 22,380. So if anyone can drop that under 20 somehow, then fair play. Much respect to you.
Only Jesus could do that, King. Nobody has that much power. Only Jesus. So, Jesus, if you're listening to the podcast, please do drop us a tweet with your invoice. Yeah, RRP, £19,545. If anyone can show me an invoice for an Audi Q2 that's been bought for under £20,000, I will hand deliver a tub of Ben & Jerry's ice cream to you.
So, Johnny, you weren't impressed by the pricing options on the Audi Q2.
Obscene.
But I understand that you're rolling around in another Audi for a short period now.
I am, and this one I'm much, much happy about. I'm rolling around in Diesel Car Magazine's Audi A4 3-litre TDI S-Line long-term car. Yes, it's a wonderful, wonderful compact saloon, actually. I think you guys are going to absolutely love it. I think I've got it until about next year. I think January or February it's going to go back. I think the original plan was Audi were going to take it back in December. But I'm trying at the moment to get some extra time with it so we can do something really cool with it. So I'll obviously keep you updated and let you know how that goes. But yes, for now I've got the Audi A4 for at least a few weeks. I'm just going to be running around in it, doing normal things in it, taking it on some journeys, and writing long-term reports for Diesel Car Magazine. All very cool. Obviously you'll get some updates from me on Twitter, and obviously on the hit podcast Smooth Traffic as well.
And have you been finding it so far, Johnny? Because you've had it for, a week now?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a week now. Yeah, I'm really, really impressed with it. Obviously, I'm used to kind of the compact saloon drive because I've got my 3 Series. And my 3 Series is a petrol, so it's obviously a different kind of beast. And this is a large diesel 6-cylinder. So it's a different kind of sensation altogether. There's things I like and things I don't like. But the things that I like, I really, really like. As in, like, love them. And the things that I don't like are just the normal Audi problems, basically. I'll start with the bad thing first, on first impressions anyway at least, and that's the S-Tronic automatic gearbox. Just not up to the class of the 8 speeds automatics you find in the BMWs and even Jaguars now. It's just not quite as good, especially from moving from a standstill, which is again something I noted was a problem with the Audi Q2 on that launch as well. It's jumpy when you first start to move, very jumpy. It's hard to make a smooth getaway in an Audi. And I don't really know why that is, and I'm surprised they haven't sort of sorted that out. It's really hard. It's difficult to criticise it too much because it literally is only half a second to a second of just, annoyance. But when a car costs £45,000, I think you expect a little bit more from the automatic, especially my car was a lot less than that, and the automatic gearbox works perfectly. I used to own a couple of Skodas as well. One of my Skodas was a DSG, which is similar hardware to what Audi use in their automatic gearboxes, and that wasn't particularly good either. And I know a few other journalists have had complaints about DSG and S-Tronic before me, so it's not just me that feels that way. Be interested to know what Audi owners think. Actually, if there are any Audi owners out there with an S-Tronic gearbox, please do tweet us, because I'd love to know what you think at the moment, because I'm not getting on with it too well. Apart from when you get up to speed. Once you're up to speed, moving along, it works absolutely perfectly and seamlessly, but moving away, it's not so good. No.
How's the economy, Johnny?
Oh, actually, yes. I was going to talk. This is actually really important because you'd think a 3-litre diesel engine would be a little bit thirsty, but I've been running around in it, maybe doing like 50 miles a day, something like that, and I'm probably getting 50 miles per gallon quite easily out of it.
That's not bad, is it?
Yeah, and this is a car that's got a lot of power and torque, but yeah, it's really, really smooth, effortless power and stuff. I'm driving around in it not trying to get economy figures, and I'm getting economy figures of between sort of 48 and 53 mpg so far, so I'd say about 50 on average probably, which I'm really happy with. You put in half a tank of diesel in it and it says you've got a range of 450 miles, so I mean, that's pretty cool, isn't it, having a range like that? And the engine is really, really good. That's one of the nicest diesel engines I've driven so far. It's got a really, really nice sound from inside. From outside, when you start it up, it does sound like the usual kind of diesel tractory noise. So if you're going to have a sexy Audi, don't buy a diesel. If you're going to have any sexy car, don't put a diesel engine in it because it ruins the effect. But yeah, from inside, it's absolutely lovely. I can't wait to show you guys what it sounds like, actually, because I think you'd be surprised. For a diesel, it actually sounds really, really nice. And properly powerful car. And we've got the four-wheel drive, of course, the Quattro system, which is particularly useful on some of the wet, horrible corners I've got down here in Devon at the moment. Lots of mud from the tracks, from the farmers' tractors and stuff, and lots of excess water, and the grip's fantastic. So yeah, first impressions really, really good so far. And the interior, Audi interiors are some of the best in the world at the moment. It's just such a pleasant place to be. Love it. And I've got the virtual cockpit as well, which I'll talk about more in a further episode, because I think I need to dedicate a little bit of time to the virtual cockpit because it is so good. Maybe I should do a video. So, lads, earlier on this year we had the Smooth Traffic Summer Road Trip of 2016, and that got me thinking, why not have a Smooth Traffic Winter Road Trip of 2017?
Hey!
Yeah! Too right. So, I've arranged it already. I haven't actually asked you guys for any advice on this, have I? Maybe I did?
I think I came up with the idea.
Okay.
Independently of you coming up with the idea.
So, in a way, no. So, but I've already arranged it anyway. We're taking a Subaru WRX STI to North Wales to explore some of the more famous roads across Snowdonia and some of the famous World Rally of Great Britain stages. One of the most stunning places in the UK, I'd say, Snowdonia. Absolutely incredible place. So yeah, it gives us a chance to test out the Subaru WRX on some particularly difficult roads, see if it's still got what it takes, even after all these years, and also to go in search of the spirit of Richard Burns and Colin McRae, two wonderful British World Rally champions, both former Subaru drivers, and we both lost them at tragically young ages, so we'll be chasing the spirit of Richard and Colin and driving one of the most exciting four-wheel drive cars, I hope, on the roads in North Wales and around the World Rally GB stages. So yeah, it should be really, really exciting, I hope.
Well, I'm excited.
You sound it.
Who doesn't want to follow in the footsteps of Colin McRae and Richard Burns?
It's pretty cool, isn't it? It's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
The fact that, I mean, we're obviously not going to be racing around there at high speeds because we'll end up in hospital. But, you know, just to be there in a Subaru in the winter when it's, you know, muddy and cold and just like how you'd imagine the World Rally GB to be. Yeah, it's just very special. So I think it's going to be a really wonderful trip, and I can't wait to get started. The WRX STI is one of these cars that I kind of feel is being overtaken in time by younger sort of upstarts in the motoring world, like the Focus RS, which has got more power and all-wheel drive now. But the WRX STI is kind of like a leftover from the sort of 90s rally era, and it's kind of never been killed off. You know, whereas the Mitsubishi Evo got killed off, the Toyota Celica got killed off, the Subaru WRX STI is still here. I mean, yeah, it used to be called the Impreza, and it should still be called the Impreza Subaru. Give it back its name. But it's still here, so, you know, it must be here for a reason. So I can't wait to get out there and see what that reason is.
Might just find it's nostalgia, or it might just have that little something that's lacking from the other cars. So it'd be good to give it a try.
Yeah. And Ben's a bit scared of this car, I think, because it's got too many sharp bits and pointy bits.
I'm more scared of the interior. It looks a bit dated.
Yes, I've heard the interior is poor, but I think I can forgive a car for a poor interior if it drives brilliantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Caterham, that's all I'll say.
Do they even know what an interior is?
No. So they don't have interiors, so I still love that car. So yeah, if the WRX STI can be anything like that in terms of a driving experience or provide as many thrills, then I'll forgive it for any poor quality interior that it might have. I'll say that now. Watch me come back in an episode in the future and slate it and say I hated it. I won't do that. Will I?
So in the last episode we talked a bit about the future of cars, particularly around autonomy and things like that. So how you're going to choose a car that drove you from A to B. We're looking at the comfort thing rather than the sort of, the handling and the drive of the car. So, sort of following on from that, it does beg the question what you'll be doing in your car in sort of 15 years time or whenever, when you're not actually driving it. There's going to be all this free time that people have. Are you just going to sit there and read in the back of the car? I don't know how people are going to make use of their time. I feel like there's something to do now that can be defined probably by the manufacturers and what they decide to put in the cars. But any thoughts on that?
I think I can see the future very clearly, Ben, because I am the one member of Smooth Traffic who owns a crystal ball.
Andy.
And like Mystic Meg of 90s fame, I have gazed into my crystal ball and I have noticed something. And what it is that cars have been getting bigger, haven't they, over the last, forever. They've been slowly getting bigger each generation they get going. And I've got a theory that cars will become big enough for you to walk around in, and cars will become a little bit like spaceships and shuttle pods that you see on Star Trek The Next Generation, whereby you can leave the pilot area, as I'm going to call it, because it will no longer be the cockpit. It will be the pilot area, because that's something like Audi would put like a trademark on. The pilot area. And you could walk into the back of your shuttle/hatchback, and you could walk around and, go down to the science bay or go to the engineering department. And if there was anything you needed to know about, the computer would let you know that there was something you needed to know about and summon you back to the pilot area. And there'd be little screens all over the place going estimated time of arrival, current velocity, atmospheric conditions, expected weather, and number of Klingons in radius to the car. And they'll be all over screens all across your walk-around car. I think cars will get so big, we'll have rooms in them.
So back into the real world.
I mean, Johnny's described a plane, hasn't he?
Yeah, basically. So, alright, so it's possible that cars are going to become bigger, but as you say, if it's going to become vertically larger, so you're describing a camper van. Are you saying that all cars are going to become camper vans?
Yeah, like an American RV.
Yeah.
It's going to be like every car will turn into an American RV, but there'll be room in there to play things like table tennis and to go into things like a library or a study or a kitchen, where you can make things like McDonald's apple pies in the microwave, because you can't have an oven in a car. That's the type of thing that I can see happening. Not in like 20 years' time, because that's too close, but in 100 years' time, I think every car will be fucking massive.
When you started talking, John, my brain started going, and I was thinking that you were actually heading towards a vaguely logical, sensible...
Well, you're an idiot for thinking that, Rob, quite frankly.
Well, no, I mean, that's entirely on me. But when you first started and you were saying about the size of cars, I was thinking that you were going to get to a point where you were going to say... It's just going to be like another room in the house, and people may even just live in their car home thing.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with a caravan, obviously. Or I should say a camper, I suppose, shouldn't I? Because a caravan's a separate lump attached to someone's car. But yeah, that's where I thought you were going with that, John. Not to some ridiculous USS Enterprise.
But King, that's basically what I've described.
Well, no, because you if everyone's got a vehicle that's big enough to have at least 4 rooms, which is what you've described at the bare minimum there, really.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be full-size rooms.
Everything. No.
They'd be like cupboards. But we'll call them rooms, because Audi will trademark the name room, even though it's just a small cupboard.
Well, in which case, if they're just cupboards, even so, you're just going to look outside and you'll just see wall-to-wall houses moving everywhere, in essence. And I don't think that's quite going to be the case at all.
Not really houses, more like large, spacious sheds.
So, bringing this back to reality slightly then, in terms of I think you mentioned something last week, or last episode, sorry, Johnny, about, you can have a car turn up and there's somebody with a bar inside. I suppose the idea that you could potentially have bigger vehicles that had a purpose. So you could, if you were doing a long distance journey, you could have a sleeper car, so it would just turn up with a couple of beds in or something like that. So if you were going to do a long journey, you were going up to Edinburgh or something from the south, you'd get in and have a nap. Or potentially, silly little things, as we sort of joked about before, where you could get your hair cut, so you'd order a car that had that service. Because why piss about sitting in a car doing nothing for half an hour when you can be productive and and do something.
You could order the type of autonomous box you wanted.
Yeah, precisely.
Like the bar,
have
the
a-
haircut, like you're saying, the table tennis facility. Like, there'd be so many different types. Companies like Hertz, they're going to grow so much, because if they get on board early and start, with different automated boxes, different types, they could offer, like, a service to just about anyone. People don't want to buy cars anymore, because young people don't really care about cars as much as they used to. People just want to get from A to B, so, like, maybe people would go, you know what, I fancy a White Russian. So King will call up Hertz, and he'll say, can I have the White Russian car, please? Or the bar car, I suppose it would be. And that bar car would take him from Bath to, I don't know, Reading, and he could just sit there and
in
drink...
time for breakfast.
Yeah, in time for breakfast. He could just sit there and drink a White Russian and not worry about anything, and just have Hans the barman feed him the odd drink or two. Because Hans the barman could then also be in charge of, looking after the emergency systems of the autonomous car as well. So, there could be a safety net for manufacturers there as well if they employ someone on the car to offer a service and look after the car a bit.
I'd like to think that we'll get somewhere like that, because, if you're going to lose things like taxi drivers from they're not going to be needed anymore when you've got autonomous cars. So if we can bring sort of jobs back in the service industry, it kind of makes sense. And as I say, you're not driving the car anymore, so you've kind of freed up some time. So why would you just sit there and stare out the window for an hour? You don't want to commute when you could be doing something else. So I suppose people will bring in, like, cinematic cars, so you're basically in an IMAX cinema in the back of your car and that sort of
They
thing.
could all have themes as well. They could have, like, themes. Like, you could have a 1950s box, and you could get in and everyone would be dressed in the 1950s style. Or you could have, like, a coffee box where you get in and there's a barista inside who can make you a nice Colombian. There's so many possibilities. I think
It's sounding a bit social now. It's almost like it's going to be Tinder, isn't it? You're going to turn up and there'll be like 5 people in the back of the car and you'll be speed dating. But there you are. That's another idea for you.
Yeah, that's another one. Bonk box.
With the with the exception of the barista and the barman and whatnot, though, are we not just describing public transport now?
Well, yes.
Can you get a haircut on a bus?
if you sit in front of the right person, I'm sure you can, John.
Or can you get on a bus?
Old mental Dave with his scissors. Yeah, he'll do it for you.
I
No
did actually
charge.
see a bus driving around Reading the other day, which was just a public transport, and it did have something on the back saying it's one of the first buses in the area to have a sofa. So they're actually having a chill out
There you
area
go,
in a
see?
bus. That's like, fair enough.
My question about all of this would be where does it end in terms of if you order the bar car, which has got Hector or whatever you called him, the barman,
Hands.
then what's to stop him from being autonomous? Why can't that be an automaton as well?
So I don't think people want to pay for a machine to make a cocktail for them.
No, but then if you're saying that person has to then be in charge of looking after the safety systems of the vehicle itself,
Yeah.
I don't know how many people would be comfortable. And this is no disrespect to people in those roles or anything, but I don't know how comfortable people would be if someone who was mixing cocktails was also in charge of the mechanical issues within the car.
I think we'd assume at this stage there won't be any mechanical
Yeah.
protections needed, do you think?
What I was thinking was more along the lines of getting around legal loopholes where the government suddenly decides that, we have to have somebody with the car at all times because full autonomy, we can't get our heads around that. We think that's far too futuristic because we know what the government are like.
Yeah, but surely in this 15, 20 years' time when we're there, assuming that a large proportion of other big countries are in the same position and have embraced this, then I don't think that would be a relevant argument at that point, John.
No?
I know what you're saying now, certainly now.
Yeah, maybe now, yeah.
But I think that far down the line, presuming that other countries have embraced the lack of a human being within the vehicle, I don't think that would be something for us to really even be thinking about.
What do you think, Ben?
I don't know.
He's just here to pose the questions.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
I mean, as I say, I think there's a way that you can use your time better. I'm not convinced by the idea of getting a haircut in the car, because at one way you're taking somebody out of the driver's seat and just shuffling them back slightly, aren't you, to do a different job. But I feel that there's something that can be done, and I think people will be bored because you'll just sit in the car then, won't you, and just people just be on Twitter, I suppose, which is what I would do.
Aside from the driving element, what do you enjoy most about being in the car from A to B? What's the thing that you do already? Aside from focusing on the driving aspect of it, what else do you do at the moment when you're in the car?
Well,
If I'm alone, probably sing. So we'll have a karaoke car.
You could have a SingStar car.
Yeah, exactly. So, obviously, if that's the case, and your specific words then were, if you're alone, you sing. Now, I'm exactly the same. I don't know about you, John. You've never expressed much singing in a car, but then maybe that's because you don't see me and Ben as leaving you truly alone.
I don't know the words to the music you like, though.
Well, fair enough. Get an education. The point would be that if that's the case, why would you want anything in the car? Why would the car, just taking away the driving aspect, why is the radio still not enough then? Because if you're still on your own in the car, admittedly, if you're not driving, you could be doing something else, such as, I don't know, working on your commute to work or whatever.
Knitting.
But if, knitting, whatever you want to do, but just filling your time with something idle. If you want to be singing along to music, then why do you need to have something else to do? Why can't you just sit there and enjoy the music?
A bit like a way that a 19th century gentleman would sit in his favourite seat in his smoking room and listen to some records or something.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Do you know what I mean?
you get your autonomous car with the wing back chairs, and
Time away from the missus and the children.
well, whatever you want to call it. I'm just thinking the commute to work, but who knows if we'll even be working in the future?
I think we'll be VR headset. You were playing the Xbox in the back of the car, having no idea what's going on.
See, I don't think that'll work, 'cause I think that'll make you travel sick. And you'll throw up inside your helmet like Mark Webber.
But you won't even know that you're moving.
Yeah, but you'll feel the outside movement, won't you?
But you won't, because that was the whole point that we were talking about on the last episode. That it's not about the comfort of the ride, because that'll become a completely obsolete argument for buying a car. It'll just be standard. You won't feel that motion or anything.
But you have to feel that motion. That's just physics, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is 20 years in the future.
So they might
Scientists are pretty clever.
Yeah, that's true.
I think when the traffic flows perfectly and in sync, when the technology allows them to communicate with each other, with cars, everything will flow so smoothly that there'll be no sort of accelerating and braking after you're sort of off the mark, will it? Because everything will just feed in and flow nicely. So yeah, you'd get some motion, but I don't think you'd get much. Interesting though.
I don't think it would be enough for you to realise it if you had your VR headset on and you were killing zombies or whatever.
I think we're worrying about the small things here.
Probably, first world problems.
Have we answered the question?
I can't remember what the question was.
Yeah, was there even a question? If you knew the question, tweet us at Smooth Traffic.
Well, the way Ben was setting this up, like, how do we envision the services and stuff in the cars being? That's what I think he said 15 odd minutes ago.
So the conclusion is varied.
Yeah, varied / we don't know.
Who knows?
Right, so none of you lot know this, but we have been shopping around recently for a car that is around £1,000 that we can have as our little Smooth Traffic project car. And on a trip the other day, driving the Audi A4 Quattro, I came across a little place called Southwest MX5, who have lots of Mazda MX-5s, funnily enough. And lo and behold, there was in there a 1991 imported Unos Roadster in British racing green with a lovely tan leather interior and tan hood. And I've snapped it up. We've gone over the budget slightly. It was £1,100, but we've got 5 original Unos wheels. We've got all the original Unos badges and stuff like that. The tan leather interior, the speakers in the headrests. We're not sure if they're working yet. We're going to have to check that. A lovely Nardi wooden steering wheel. So yes, the Smooth Traffic project car is a 1991 Unos Roadster, otherwise known as a Mazda MX-5. If you're particularly confused by that, and yeah, we're going to report on it here on the podcast and do a little bit of the blog on smoothtraffic.co.uk as well. Keep you guys in the loop, let you know how it's going, see which direction we're going to go in with the project and stuff. And yeah, it should be a good ride and a good experiment, hopefully. I mean, buying a car for this kind of price, normally you expect a lot of problems and stuff like that. We've bought this one from a specialist who's checked it over for the obvious problems such as rust. Rust is a huge killer of MX-5, so we think this one is a pretty good one, but with enough work that needs doing here and there to make it an interesting listen and an interesting read for you guys out there as well. So yeah, pretty excited to get started, really. Kingy, you're going to be seeing it first because it's down here with me in Devon, because Southwest MX-5s are based out in the southwest, funnily enough. I'm going to come up to see you shortly and give you a look around the car and we can get together hopefully soon and decide what kind of direction we're going to go in and what kind of work we think needs doing.
I'm very excited to see it, to be quite honest with you, John. For those of you who are MX-5 aficionados, it's in the style of the 1989 V-Spec, and apparently, I think you were saying that the guys where you bought it from told you that the chap who'd originally bought it had just done it up to look like that, but it's not actually the V-Spec, is it, John?
Yes, well, it was imported in 2000, so between 1991 and 2000 we can't be firmly sure what actually happened, but it's believed that whoever spec'd it in 1991 when it was ordered from new wanted it to look like the 1989 V Special Edition, but perhaps didn't want to go out and buy one of those, or wanted a new one, or didn't want to spend as much on one, so it's got the V Special part, so that Nardi wooden steering wheel in particular, it's a real highlight, and it's worth a few bob as well, actually. So, you know, if we destroy the car, at least we can sell the steering wheel. And yeah, it looks really, really good. If it was a V Special, it'd be worth about 2 or 3 times as much, according to Southwest MX-5s. So the fact that we've got one that looks a bit like a V Special means we don't have to kind of preserve it as that edition. But at the same time, if we wanted to sort of pay homage to that edition, we could go down that route as well. But as it is, it looks like a very tidy example. I'm quite happy with it. It just leaves us enough work to kind of do ourselves to turn it into something that we want to turn it into. You know, it could be anything really. We could leave it as a kind of original example, try and keep things as original as possible. We could look at things like upgrading the wheels with wider tyres, maybe giving it a little bit more grip, a little bit more power in the engine. We change the ECU, the exhaust manifolds, that kind of thing, add sort of different air intakes. All that kind of stuff is completely open to us. We could even turn it into a race car if Ben gives us thousands of pounds. But as he's unlikely to give us thousands of pounds, it's probably just going to be a little bit here and there, and hopefully by the end of it we'll have also made some money out of it, because these things are going to be on the rise soon, I think.
So what's the first thing to do? Are you looking at just giving it a bit of a polish, and can you sort of tidy it up with treating the leather and things like that? Or
yeah, I think that's going to be the first step, because I've got a load of Autoglim stuff at home, so I think it's a really good opportunity to just break out some of these Autoglim kits, see what's inside them, and just see what we can do to kind of tidy it up, really. The carpet inside in particular is not in great nick, and there's a few cigarette burns I think I noticed inside it, but I reckon with some posh carpet shampoo stuff, soap, we can just wash it a bit and make sure it's nice and fluffy and extra shiny. I've already bought our first upgrade today, which is some all-weather floor mats from Halfords for the grand price of £15.
Boom.
So I'll be resting my feet on that very shortly. Yeah, there's a few marks on the paint as well I think we need to look at. The MX-5 specialists think it's kind of a polish mark from where it's kind of been over-polished, and some paint restorer should kind of get that off. The badges as well, we could do it just, smartening the badges up a little bit just to make it look a little bit fresh, really. But these cars don't really take a lot of work to look much more expensive than they actually are. So with the right products and stuff and a bit of talent, maybe some effort, if we can muster that.
Steady.
Yeah.
Is the roof in decent nick, Johnny? Is it leaking or anything?
The roof is in decent nick, yes. It's a good roof. And it also has a glass rear windscreen, which is unusual for a Mark 1, apparently. Normally they're plastic and they split very easily, but this one's a glass one, so that's quite good. It's also got a wind deflector, which is again an extra. I haven't actually driven it with the roof down yet because winter, but I'm sure I will in the coming weeks when I see some sunshine appear. It's in good nick. There's a seal near the driver's door that is a bit loose. I think I need to look at that, because I think there's a possibility some water might be able to get in there if we're not careful. I'm not going to be garaging this. It's a £1,000 MX-5, so I'm going to treat it like I would pretty much any car, really. It's not going to get wrapped in cotton wool, should we say. It's going to be used as a car.
You're going to drive it, John.
I'm going to drive it. I'm not going to wrap it up and try and treat it right and all of this bollocks, because it's a car. It's designed to be driven every day. It is an everyday kind of driver's car, so that's what I intend to do with it. Although if it is too cold, I'll be getting in one of my cars that has heated seats and forgetting that I even own it.
I don't blame you.
Now, I'd just like to say, credit where credit's due here. Jonathan Edge is not a natural when it comes to anything mechanical, technical.
Anything, really?
Well, just anything, really, yeah. You've hit the nail on the head there, Ben. But obviously one of the difficulties that we had with this was being so far away from one another. It's not a case that we could all just pop down, have a look at the car, see what we think and everything.
Yeah.
John has done an exceptional job of taking everything that we've said and checked everything out as we've requested. So a pat on the back for you, John, because I know I don't give you a lot of credit very often.
That's true.
But I've been genuinely impressed by your willingness to listen to other people.
Which is a rare thing for Johnny.
I do find that difficult sometimes. Well, thank you very much, King, and I don't want to take your guys' share of the car off you until you've seen the car and you're happy with the car either. So for the time being, I've bought it all myself and everything, but when you're happy with it and you're not angry with me for buying a lump of shit and you having to give me money, if you're happy with it, we'll go from there. But until I've actually come up, delivered the car to you guys and gone, look at it, it's got a wooden steering wheel, then I'm not going to be sort of requesting any additional funds, unless of course I see a particularly nice massive spoiler or set of alloy wheels, in which case I will be forwarding you the invoice.
I'm prepared to invest once you've finished doing all the work to upgrade it.
You might not want to invest in it once you've seen my work. That's the only problem. It might be a complete disaster zone, but
that is a valid point.
I think it's going to make some really good videos for our YouTube channel at some point, getting together and kind of working on it and trying to work out how a car works, because I just drive the things, really. I don't really know how they work. It's going to be good fun sort of learning about engines and oil and things that live under the hatch that I never get to open.
The bonnet, John. It's called the bonnet.
Yeah, the front hatch. Yeah. That's what they call hatch fronts, isn't it? Oh, no, that's... Yeah. But yeah, we're going to have a little look around, see what we can do. Hopefully just make it look good again. And make it enjoy itself, make it look happy. The first generation MX-5s always look happy with those little pop-up lights. Hopefully this one will look even happier once we've given it some TLC.
And we will keep you all up to date, whether you want to hear about it or not, through Twitter, obviously on the Smooth Traffic account at Smooth Traffic. And Johnny will no doubt be tweeting quite a lot over the coming days as he finds various issues with his brand new car, which I will call his brand new car until I'm happy that I'm prepared to invest. But yes, so who knows? Maybe we'll start our own line of educational videos on how to change brake pads or something.
No, we won't.
Yeah, brake pads for idiots, featuring an idiot, me, with a large tool set. Trying to
just a hammer.
Yeah, a hammer. No, I can use a screwdriver.
Yeah, not together, John. That's a bad plan.
Oh, okay. Well, hammer and screw. Yeah, okay. We'll see. But yeah, as Kingy said, stay tuned to our Twitter accounts. Stay tuned to the website, and don't forget to tune into this episode of Smooth Traffic, the next episode of Smooth Traffic, the next episode of Smooth Traffic, all of those other episodes as well. Welcome back to another edition of the hit game show, Deadliest Boot Spaces. Possibly the greatest game show ever devised by anyone who has a motoring-based podcast. So, today we have a special request from Twitter user at MattB88. He has asked us to do a special edition of Deadliest Boot Spaces to ask the following question. Is the load space of a Toyota RAV4 2-litre Business Edition or a BMW X3 2-litre diesel M Sport more deadly than the other? I mean, which one is deadly? Hit game show! It doesn't matter how I ask the question. Which one has the biggest loot space? Loot space. Good term. Even better. And which one will kill you the most as a result? Because 6 litres of water, when drunk, will kill you. So, which one of these is the more deadly? Kingy, Benny, only you can find out the answer.
I've kind of got an inkling on this already.
Have you been cheating?
Is it quite close? No, I haven't been cheating for a change. I don't know why I said for a change. I've never cheated.
Bastard.
If I normally cheated, I'd be 7-0 up rather than winning 4-3. Did you say it's quite close, John?
I did say it was quite close. Yes, pre-recording I said this one is quite close. This one is quite close.
Thanks. Well, I mean, I tend to guess second and then just take whatever Ben hasn't done.
And that's usually why I lose. So you can pretty well guess first.
So I'm going to go with my gut straight off the bat here, and I'm going to say the X3. And I don't know why. Something in the back of my mind makes me think that it's just bigger.
Yes, something you've seen on the internet that perhaps suggests that it has more space, possibly, King? You cheater? Are you cheating? Are you cheating, King?
I keep telling you. No.
Better not be cheating. Ben Pearce, come on down with your suggestion.
Well, obviously I'm going to have to go for the Toyota, but...
You're damn right you are.
I've seen a couple of ridiculously over-engineered boots in the past. I take it none of these are these like the automatic boots or anything like that? The ones that close themselves. Do we know?
Well, do we know?
That's a no.
No, we don't.
No,
because
we don't.
We don't
We
do
don't know.
research on this podcast. No research at all.
I think BMW have got more chance of over-engineering it, so yeah, I'm going Toyota.
Okay. Well, the good news, chaps, is that I have got this information from the JATO official statistics for all production vehicles in the UK.
Ooh.
So this episode of Boot Spaces was brought to you by JATO in a way. Thanks, JATO. You're good guys. So, the Toyota RAV4 2-litre Business Edition has 547 litres of boot space, meaning it will kill you 91.16 times if you drunk the boot space in water.
Ooh.
Many deaths. Many deaths. Still confident, King?
I don't know.
Well,
I mean, there's a good chance that I'm picturing an X5 when I'm trying to think of an X3, so, you know.
maybe you are, King. Maybe you are. Because the BMW X3 2-litre diesel M Sport has 550 litres of boot space, meaning it will kill you 91.66 times, meaning there's precisely half a human death between the Toyota RAV4 and the BMW X3. The BMW X3 is more deadly by half a human death. Scary.
Arse.
Half a human life?
Yeah.
Whichever way you phrase
Yeah, I
it.
think so.
Smooth
I
traffic
think so.
goes existential.
Anyway, thanks for joining us for another episode of Deadliest Boot Spaces, the greatest game show ever devised by a motoring-based podcast. Join us for the next episode when we will possibly be taking more of your requests to find out which car has the deadliest boot space when compared to another car. Join us soon. Say goodbye, everyone. Bye! Well, just me then.
Oh, bye everyone.
Bye.
What kind of game show is this? Let's tally up the scores. Robert King, 5. Benny Pierce, 3. Well, thanks once again for tuning into the Smooth Traffic podcast thing that we do. We've had a lot of stuff to talk about in this episode. Really deep autonomous vehicle chat. We've had great announcements. The Project Unos Roadster. How cool is that? High five through the screen. Yeah, don't forget to please rate us and listen to us on iTunes because we need some more ratings. Rate us. And don't forget to follow us on smoothtraffic.co.uk. Stay tuned to that website to see what we're up to and stuff like that. Follow us on Twitter at smoothtraffic and follow us individually on the Twitter sphere as well. I'm at the Johnny Edge. Ben Pierce is at the Face of Ben for some reason, and Robert King is at Robert King ESQ because he's a bit posh. Until next time, we'll see you later.